السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مرحبا بالجميع. Welcome everyone. So I will start with Arabic to explain that this session will be conducted in English because all of the papers will be presented in English. هذه الجلسة سوف تدار باللغة الإنجليزية لأن أغلب الأوراق البحثية أو جميع الأوراق البحثية التي سوف ستقدم باللغة الإنجليزية. So welcome everyone to this session. I think it will be quite a technical one, and I hope that the audience are prepared for that. So what we will do, each presenter will give their presentation in 12 to 15 minutes. Then the next, the third, the fourth, and then we will do a Q&A. So we will not follow the, let's say, usual format of presentation, then Q&A, then the second presentation. So please, if you have some questions, write your notes. Also, we will see if we have some time, try to keep them short, so because sometimes the questions can turn into another lecture, but yeah. We will start with the first one. So the first presenter for today, Asma Tajuddin. She's from University of Windsor. She's a PhD candidate doing her PhD in Argumentation Studies. She will present her work online, I think from Canada, I'm assuming. In her paper, she's exploring and also aiming to achieve a virtuous decision-making in automated system. So Asma, yeah, you are online, but also the floor is yours. Yeah.
Am I audible enough?
Yes, I think so.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to present my paper on designing a virtuous automated decision system using multiple agents with personas and human in the loop. So what I'm trying to achieve is, can we actually put personas into agents? These agents are 4 large language models. I'm using GPT-4 through an API. It's a Python program. So I'm going to put 4 different unique personas for these agents, and it's going to have a human in the loop. So it would be like the human is the conversation starter. So a human puts in an argument, and all the 4 agents would deliberate on the argument. If they agree, they give a supporting argument. If they disagree, they're going to give a counter argument. So what I'm trying to achieve is a kind of a form of deliberation or a debate. And this paper is based on another paper that's actually the motivation for this paper. It's Scott Aiken and Caleb's paper on developing group deliberative virtues. In that paper, they've looked at different scenarios. One scenario is lost at sea. So I'm trying to, am I audible enough? I'm sorry.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure. Okay. So in this paper, they have like 6 different virtues. And they say that, okay, in this scenario, how can you achieve positive synergy in the group so that all the group members would come to the same conclusion so they are able to make a decision? So from those 6 deliberative virtues, I'm choosing only 4 because now you see that there are like 5 actors in my model. So these virtues are the witty one, the friendly one, temperate, and courageous. And I'll also explain how they're working in the next slide. So one of the major applications of virtual decision making is deliberation by incorporating different perspectives, and we're trying to actually solve a problem. So I'm using virtue argumentation theory and adapting the same principles of virtue epistemology, emphasizing the role of intellectual character of the arguer. So these personas, they've been embodied by the different LLMs, so they have to behave in that way. So the friendly one has to look at different perspectives, but in the same manner, it tries to be friendly with its approach. The witty one is a bit different. It tries to be a bit witty, but it puts its own perspective down. The courageous one, it could just go on countering the actual argument that is put in because it has been designed to counter. But the interesting thing is to see how all of these different personas in the agents help them reach one decision. So I have put up like 3 examples to show you in the results how it is being done. So the first thing is I'm just simulating the same example from the original paper. It's like the human introduces the lost at sea problem and then the agents deliberate. So in the first 2 iterations, the first 2 examples, they're not able to form a definitive conclusion. They're not able to form an agreement. But in the last example, which is about a policy making and where they're given 4 options, after the first round, in the second round, when the human gives feedback, they are able to converge at one decision. So let me tell you more about the lost at the sea example. This was introduced by Aiken and Clayton in their paper, and they're trying to look at that if we have deliberative virtues in different group members, they are able to counter negative synergy and they are able to have a positive synergy. It's like a combination of individual perspective and reasoning, and they are able to have a successful deliberation in the end. So they argue that focusing on virtues is essential for mitigating the limitations of group deliberation. This is what I actually wanted to test in a real simulation. And the limitations of group deliberation are failure to converge, negative synergy, and failure to aggregate information from all the members. So in this paper, they say that maybe one of the member pushes the negative synergy in the group and they never converge to one decision. They never get the consensus. So that is why I'm using different examples. So for today, I will like present 3 examples and I'm going to show you that how in the end they are able to converge and have consensus and they decide on one. So this is a theoretical framework. So in order to develop a virtuous decision making, we should either have a virtuous AI or we should have a human-centric approach. There should be human in the loop. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do both. When I talk about virtuous AI, I'm trying to put up these personas, and the concept of persona is not new. I think I've read a paper by Jens, and he was able to use different personas on different agents. And I'm trying to do the same, but I'm also including human in the loop because after first round of deliberation or debate, they would need feedback in real time to move ahead. So this is my theoretical framework about the 4 different agents that I'm using. So the methodology is, am I going too fast or is it okay?
It's perfect.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So the agents independently analyze the problem and they generate counter or supporting arguments. The different virtues that they have, let me talk a bit about them. So the deliberative wit virtue, it's like the presenting the argument by being a bit witty, but there is no saying that it would be supporting or it would be a counter argument. The deliberative friendless is the same. It's like the one who has this virtue tries to present different perspectives in a very friendly manner. The temperance one is the one. It's like they try to temper down the conversation so that it has an easy flow, so that they converge to one idea. But the courageous one, it's like it's always going to be one who's going to challenge all the viewpoints that are being raised. But all of them, so the way I've designed them is all of them give their own reasoning for supporting or countering an argument. It's like, why are they supporting it? Give reasons for it. Why are they going to counter it and give reasons? So in the discussion, they would put up all the reasons, and the reasons would be like presenting arguments in a structured manner. It's like you provide evidence, you provide claim, and also you back it with evidence. So this is the methodology. The framework is implemented in Python. So I've created conversational agents that respond to the user and they're aware of all the conversation history. So at any time in the process of the first deliberation, the second deliberation, maybe they can go to the third one, all of them are aware of the history of the conversation, so they know which agent is supporting which viewpoint. They process the argument using their own specific method and provide a response. And the conversation history is constantly updated. So if using a different class, it's more like a Python program that helps to do it. So this was the methodology. So this is the actual model. It's like the human in the loop puts in an input that could be an argument. And then all the agents deliberate on it and they present their own viewpoint one after another, fully aware of all the other agents' perspectives. And these agents have all of these different personas that I've talked about, that how they try to deliberate on it, but using this all different virtues. So this is the model for the results. So in the first one, which is a lost at sea example, so in the original paper, it talks about, think about a scenario that you're lost at sea and you have 15 items. So you have to rank them accordingly to which one did you need the most. It's like a priority based list. So the human first inputs that I want to go with two things that is for survival, two things that is for navigation, and he gives its reasoning that why is he ranking in this way. And then the agents start ranking. So when I checked after the first round of deliberation, the ranking is a bit different and they all have diverse opinions. With the second example, but they have constructive criticism, which is very necessary for moving on the discussion. For the second example, they only have to pick 5 items. So the human in the loop start with a conversation that from the list of 15, I'm only going to pick 5 because of this reasoning. Because why do I need to pick 5? So the answer would be, okay, this is for navigation, this is for survival, this is for contacting emergency services. And the friendly one agrees with, like, now what happened in this group, the 3 of them agrees with one point of reasoning, but the other 2 do not. So they're not able to reach one definitive decision. So with the third one, and I also got a good comment from the commentator on this paper, that the humans should be able to give feedback in real time. So I included this in the program with the example 3, that is the policy analysis. So they have like 4 options. And this is about, this is about regulating de-extinction research and application. So the 4 options is total prohibition of de-extinction, strict regulation with risk assessment. The option 3 is de-extinction for conservation purposes. And the 4th one is open innovation with public oversight. So I think 4 options look more manageable with this example. So the human in the loop gives feedback about that, okay, I want to go with the first one, and they give reasons why. And then all of them give their own reasons, and they're able to choose different options from the 4 ones. And then after that, the human gives another feedback. Okay, looking at this conversation, this is the most viable option. And I've looked at the reasoning for that. And after that feedback, with the follow-up deliberation, they are able to converge at one option. So they're able to actually reach a consensus that the second one is the most viable, that is strict regulation with risk assessment, because they also talk about that, no, we do need the extension, and that is the need of the hour. So they're able to converge. And I think this is a good thing that I actually wanted to do. I wanted them to reach one decision, and the model proves to do it. So in the future, I would want to try more different examples and more different scenarios to see how flexible the model is. So these were the results. So I do also have some recommendations, and I would be so happy to listen to more of them from the audience and from the committee. So the use of virtues do help to mitigate the limitations of group deliberation. They promote collaboration and critical thinking. So even if there are disagreements, they are not deep disagreements, and they're also reasoning behind disagreeing. They try to give valid arguments. The personas enhance realism. It's like how it would happen in a real scenario, that you try to offer different, diverse perspectives and improve ethical decision making. including a human in the loop, stimulate a dynamic interaction. It would look like a more real-time feedback and real-time interactions. The model is able to facilitate a diverse and informed decision on a complex policy issue. It could stimulate real-world deliberations and debates. So we're introducing the continued feedback by the human in the loop and having more deliberation rounds, I think they were able to reach consensus. So the model shows that effective collaborative problem solving by providing a practical framework for addressing ethical dilemmas in automated systems. So these are my recommendations. This is what I've learned from my model and its simulation. So I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to present my paper. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Asma, and thank you also, Bishir, for holding the mic for this whole time. Thank you so much. Also, sorry for some of the audience. There is not enough chairs, so sorry for that. We now move to the second presentation by Dr. Ali Al-Laith from University of Copenhagen in Denmark. He's a researcher in natural language processing and AI, holding a PhD in computer science. He is currently focusing on language modeling, digital humanities, and machine learning. And this work that he's going to present, he wants to explore the automatic detection of argumentative structures, even topic evaluation, but now in Arabic news and not competitive debate or some virtual agent. So, Dr. Ali, the floor is yours. And Bishir, there is a chair here if you want to take on.
There is a chair, and just take off my bag from there. Yeah.
You can speak directly. Or you want to speak?
I think this one, just to be free. Hi and hello everyone. Thanks for coming for this presentations. And today I'm going to talk about the starting of a new project about the argumentation detection, but from different perspective. And instead of just going through the text mining and natural language processing, I try to involve other aspects like social sciences and also the communication and media study. So, yeah. The goal of my research is to analyze Arabic news headlines from 2008 up till 2020 using NLP to detect claims and track topic evolution over time. So the news were extracted from Twitter because I want to study the user interaction as well, and also the behavior of news sources towards some topics like COVID-19 and Arabic Spring, for example. And the method I use in this starting point is to apply part topic in order to get the most important topics from this huge amount of news. And also try to start with automatic extraction or identification of claim from the news headlines. And the findings is to identify key discourse shifts like some topics, Arabic Spring, COVID-19, and try to show the visibility of argument mining in short text, which is in Arabic. So the theoretical framework of my research is to focus on argument mining and also topic modeling to extract the topics from news headlines, and also try to solve these challenges of Arabic richness, like the diversity and also dialects. I did not handle it in this because it's just modern standard Arabic, and also the effect of NLP performance and interpretation. So what I did actually to start in this project is to collect the data where I have 5.3 million news. They are basically tweets from Twitter. And they were extracted from the top or the famous news sources like Al Jazeera, Al Arabiya, BBC, and other famous news sources. So they came from 72 verified Twitter accounts. And I did not just focus on a specific region, but rather try to cover the popular news sources on each Arab country, along with the other news sources like BBC or CNN in US and also UK. For the topic modeling, I applied BART topic in order to convert this huge amount of news into just few thousand of topics to be able to track the topics and the user behavior, I mean, in terms of interaction with such topics, and also with respect to the argumentation as well. And for the claim detection, I started with zero-shot identification of claims using the GPT-4 zero, and also yeah, this is just the starting point, and later I tried to fine-tune the famous Arabic LLMs like Arabert and also Marbert as well, using this annotated data set to classify headlines as claim or not. So just a binary classification in this case. And here we have the distribution of news over time. As you can see, it started in 2008 with only 16,000 news headlines in Twitter, but end up in 2020 with almost 1.2 million news headlines. And there's also user interaction behind these news, actually. So the user interaction is the number of likes and retweets, and also the replies as well. So I have almost 266 million of user interaction over these headlines from Twitter. And what I did actually as a starting point is try to identify the famous topics based on the number of news against each topic. So I just try to focus with some events like the Arabic Spring and also COVID-19 to see how people interact with such news and what are the claims given by news sources as well, to see the relation between the news sources and users as well. And the effect of claim detection, actually I've used 4 Arabic LLMs, and these 2 perform better than the other 2. I'll just show you in the next slide. So I just got around 82% F1 score. And for the feasibility demonstrated here, actually, is the argument mining in short Arabic text is also, it is challenging, but it's possible, actually, with help of transformer, even if there are a lot of challenges, because I'm just dealing with a short text rather than the full text. But the idea is to start with the short text and then try to understand the user interaction with such news. And later on, maybe for the premises as well, I can use the full news articles in order to just do further investigation in argument mining. And here we have the results of the binary classification of news into claim and not claim, where the Arabert and also Marbert version 2 perform better rather than the other 2 in testing set. And my recommendation is to enhance the data quality. As I mentioned, that I started with the automatic annotation using the LLMs like GPT-4, but human has to be involved in the annotation in order to come up with a good or a gold standard annotations to train further models and come up with robust results. And also, I'm trying to expand the model scope, so instead of just focusing on the previous 4 models rather than try to cover or use the other models like GPT-4, DeepSeek, whatever. And for the analysis of arguments, I try to explore the relationship between claims and premises to build full argumentation structure, but starting with the headline and then later to expand it with the full news articles. I think this is all. It's short, but yeah, it's just the starting point in this project, and I'm happy to hear for any question from you later on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ali. And now we are moving from dealing with Arabic news to go through cross-context, cross-language work with Sara Nabhani, coming from still Arabic, but maybe in the future going to other languages. She is coming from University of Groningen, yeah, difficult name. She's a PhD at this university, researching Arabic propaganda detection. She also holds an Erasmus Master's and has more than 3 years of data science experience in fintech. In this paper, she investigates the cross-lingual and translation-based approach to Arabic argument mining by leveraging the well-established English persuasive essay corpus. Sara, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Okay. First of all, sorry, my slides have different templates. But yeah, so yeah, hi everyone. I'll be talking about small research I worked on with my supervisor, Khatib. It's about Arabic arguments mining with the cross-lingual and translation-based approaches. So, okay, I'll try to do this one. Okay, so starting with the motivation. If you're coming from AI or NLP background, you would know that Arabic is a low resource language. And this would mean that we have not too many data sources that we can use to build NLP models, to basically implement or solve many tasks. And of course, argument mining is no exception, unfortunately. So what we do in this research, basically we try to answer this question. Can we leverage resources from high resource languages, like English, for example, and use the NLP methods to face this challenge? So we try with the 3 different approaches: zero-shot multilingual, translate-train multilingual, and translate-train monolingual. We'll be discussing each of them. For the 3 approaches, the data that we use, we leverage data from English data, which is the persuasive essays corpus. It contains 402 English essays annotated for argumentation, specifically measure claim, and a premise. It's annotated on a token level. And as I just mentioned, unfortunately, we don't have Arabic data to evaluate our approaches on. So what we do is that we translate the test data from the persuasive essays corpus, and we use it, we manually check it to make sure the translation is okay, the annotation is okay, and we use it for the evaluation. So starting with the first approach, the zero-shot multilingual. And here our main question is, can multilingual models trained on English argument mining data generalize to Arabic data? So what we do here is that we train a multilingual model, basically a model that's already trained on data from different languages, including Arabic. And we train it on the English argumentation data that we have. So the model is not exposed to any Arabic argument mining data at all. And then we test it on the evaluation test, basically the test set that we have. In the second approach, translate train multilingual. So basically this one built up on the previous one. Here, the question we are asking, do multilingual models trained on English argument mining data perform better if exposed to Arabic data during training? So what we do here is that instead of just training the multilingual model only on English data, we also expose it to some Arabic data. So we translate the same English data to Arabic, and we, we combine it with the same training data. And then we test again on the same test set. Now the last approach, translate-trained monolingual. And yeah, our question here, can Arabic monolingual models learn well from argument mining data translated from English? Here we translate the training data that we have into Arabic, and we train a monolingual model, so basically an Arabic model, not a multilingual one, on this translated data, and we test again on our test set. For the models, for the multilingual models, we use XLM Roberta Large. For the monolingual model, we use Arapert V2. Now, as you could see, our approaches involve lots of translation. So for the translation, we use a model called NLLP, No Language Left Behind. It's a quite good one for low resource languages specifically. And since we're doing translation, this would mean that basically we need to project the annotation from the source language to the target one. And for this, we use a method called fast align. It's a statistical model for word alignment, and it's a computationally efficient one. Here you can see an example of a sentence in English in the top, translated into Arabic, and then how the annotation per token are projected. And of course, basically we need to do this because we're going specifically because like we have English, we have Arabic, the word order is going to be different. But since we're using automatic methods to do the translation and annotation projection, so we can expect that there would be many errors. We can't expect 100% accuracy in the translation or the annotation projection. And of course, this error would introduce noise in the training. So what we do to check for this is that we manually correct a sample of 100 and then additional 100 instances from the training data. And we retrain our model, and we see how this basically impacts the final performance of the model. Since the manual correction is a labor-intensive task, so we apply it only to one approach, which is the translate-train monolingual one. Now here we have the results. As you can see, the zero-shot one, this is the one that is not exposed to any Arabic data. Apart from the worst, it is actually very bad. And then translate-train multilingual, the one that saw some Arabic data, but it's still a multilingual model, showed some improvement, but it's still 0.06, like less than 1, so it's pretty bad as well. However, with the translate-train monolingual, this is like the Arabic model, trained entirely on Arabic data, showed the best performance, 0.25. And then after doing the annotation correction, the manual one, so basically after doing 100 or training on 100, no, after adding 100 corrected annotation, it went up to 0.27, which is great. And then after adding another 100, it went up to 0.32. So the key takeaways from these results, we could see that we get the best performance from the translate-train monolingual Arabic model, which means basically that the model that was trained specifically on Arabic was the best, better than the multilingual models. And then the second point is that we saw better performance when the model was exposed to some Arabic data, although basically the difference was very, very slight, but it still tells us something. And lastly, the impact of the manual correction of annotation, correcting only 200 annotation, which is basically around 11% of the whole training data set, resulted in an F1 score improvement of 7%. So we can imagine that it would be even better if we have more data, more accurate data in the training. So for the conclusion, Arabic argument mining indeed facing challenges. Transfer learning and cross-lingual methods alone are insufficient. They can basically act as a starting point, but if we want to have a robust model, we need to have an Arabic-specific data. So for future work, we would want to develop a large-scale human annotated data for Arabic argument mining. We also want to expand it to cross-domain, like for news, social media, and education. That was all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sara. Now we move to the last presentation in this session. by Ana Maria. She is from National Open and Distance University of Colombia. Ana is a lawyer from the Universidad de Rosario. I hope, yeah, I say the name correctly. Yeah, she holds a master's degree in public policy from Central European University, and she has over 15 years of experience in argumentation and debate. In this work, Ana investigates the impact of generative AI tools on the development of philosophical argumentation and expert intuition among undergraduate students familiar with debate practices. So we started with the Virtuous agent, we go to the Arabic news, we went to the multilingual work, and now we finish with the focusing on students. Ana, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm clearly not from an engineer background, so most of the specific things on how this works I cannot understand, which is probably one of the reasons why I feel very, very encouraged to try to build bridges between different kinds of knowledge and fields, which is something I think we need to start thinking on. So my work is based on one author. His name is Dreyfus, and I specifically choose one of his main definitions, or one of his main concepts, which is the expert intuition. And I want to use this concept as a critique. He was an artificial intelligence critique, to understand how can artificial intelligence generated arguments can interfere with the educational process of students who has to engage with philosophical types of arguments. So what I'm going to talk about here is mainly, first I will talk about the theoretical framework I used. As I mentioned, I'm focused on one author. And on the other hand, I will present you my methodology. I'm going to make a warning. This methodology, of course, has a lot of limitations and it could be improved. And I will be very grateful if you comment on that too. And then I will show you some results on how the students perceived this relationship between AI and argumentation and the limits of it. So here's a picture of one of the main books of the author. So basically, yes, this is the abstract. I want to see what's the impact of these generative AI tools in the development of philosophical argumentation among students, basically. So, okay. On the first hand, the first thing I did was to look at the literature available at this point, and of course this is like a very recent field, the intersection between education, philosophy, and artificial intelligence. I found some relevant works, of course, that mention things like AI is reshaping epistemology and ethics and pedagogy. I found some studies that mention that AI interferes with student engagement and motivation. I also found studies that mention this has a societal impact, but many of the things, or this is something I want to be very clear about. One of the main motivations I had when I chose this topic is this kind of shadow thing that it's very common to hear, that machines are going to replace humans. And this is like a very common statement, and I guess it's what made me put effort or try to figure out if that's even like a possible thing to consider at all. And okay, so this is what I found there. So why did I choose this specific theoretical framework? Well, mainly because he's one of the main authors that offers a critique to artificial intelligence versus men, to that debate from a philosophical perspective. I want to mention that, he's not here anymore. He was an American philosopher, and he was a very assiduous reader of Heidegger. And he took all of the Heidegger's work related to this concept of being in the world and how do you actually perceive the things that happen in the world with your senses, and this differentiation between the abstraction and ideal world and actually being in the world. So this is why he, taking those ideas from Heidegger, put these concepts of, on the first hand, embodied cognition. Dreyfus mentioned that the human thought is basically shaped by the bodily experience. You cannot, for him, it's not precise to say that something without a body can actually have a thinking process, because thinking, it's an embodied experience. You think with your body. And this is something that we have been discussing a lot in this conference, which is if we can actually differentiate between pure reasoning and thinking and emotions, ethos and pathos, and if we can actually take these things one by one, and it's according to his perspective, the embodied cognition, the cognitive process is not possible without an actual body that gives us a lot of inputs to consider. Of course, this embodied cognition is also based on another concept from Polanyi, which is a phenomenologist, that mentions that many of the things that make us take any decision are not explicit, but are tacit, and most of our knowledge is built on this tacit knowledge that most of the time we cannot even put into the table. He say we know more than we can tell, actually, because there are many implicit rules on our everyday task and in everything we do. And then after that, we have this concept of expert intuition, which is something that Dreyfus developed. It's the last stage of how people acquire skills, according to him. And it's basically the explanation on how human experts work. For instance, a doctor or a lawyer or someone that you can consider an expert on any given field, that person when has a consultation on or faces any given problem, that person does not provide a solution following any given logical path or making some premises in an explicit way in his mind. At least the brain, according to Dreyfus, doesn't work like that. He just got into the solution without all of the reasoning, and then, of course, it's able to explain why and provide reasons for the things if he wants to. But actually, the expertise is built on the fact that you can have an intuition on things, not on traditional reasoning. Okay. I think some of these things I already mentioned. Okay, so this is the tricky part. The methodology has a lot of limitations because basically what I did, I mixed a qualitative approach with this phenomenological analysis. The phenomenological analysis basically assume you can get some of the experience of people, and I try to elaborate on that, on the way I made the questions to the participants on this qualitative survey, asking them about their perception on how they felt when they were making philosophical argumentation with a machine, with the contact of a GPT or Claude or any. And then I asked them some questions regarding how do you use the tools and so on, how often, the frequency, those things, just to get to know what they were like, if they were like frequent users or not. And then I asked them about their beliefs and the way they perceive if these tools hinders their ability to independently formulate philosophical arguments or not. Most of them actually don't think at this point it hinders their ability, but there's like a big proportion of them that thinks this could be a problem at some point, which is something I will explore further. Okay, so what did I found with this questionnaire? I found that there is a tension, they identify a tension between the fact that when you use AI, you can get to understand easier philosophical concepts because AI is very agile to summarize or to provide a different kind of explanation to deep philosophical concepts, but it cannot replace the process of creativity within a philosophical reasoning that is needed from a human perspective. Most of the people in the study use the large language models to simplify text, summarize concepts, make structures of arguments, and detect fallacies. But still, most of them perceive that the human dimensions of argumentation or philosophical argumentation remains essential, since true philosophical insights require understanding some tacit knowledge, and most of the text these people refers to has some nuances that require some tacit development from them. They also refer like there's like a risk of over-reliance, like if you as a student that has to deal with philosophical arguments rely too much on these tools, that might limit your creativity or even your ability to understand on your own. So what they provide me, or the input that I got from this, is like it's good to use as a tool for comprehension, but overextended use might hinder the ability of the students to comprehend from themselves complex philosophical arguments. There was like a mixed emotional response to these tools, which they mention like sometimes they feel detached from the text or the argument when AI provides them an explanation, because they feel that the attachment, because that removes some sort of complexity and ambiguity that is essential for the experiential learning of argumentation. And many mention also that struggling with the understanding process is an important part of an educational process. There's also this debate between these tools provide support, but there's also this danger or the warning, of over-relying for understanding a text to these tools. And one key takeaway is like, basically this concept of expert intuition is gained by the embodied experience that they mentioned that most of the time they are not having, because they are feeling detached from the content they are getting from the explanation of of AI. So basically, to me, one of the main conclusions is like there's a risk identified that is this concern about being too detached from the content they are reading or they are having, or the inputs they are having from artificial intelligence, and that might hinder their ability to reflect or build these things on their own. And that the fact of struggling with understanding it's central to philosophical argumentation or thinking. And the last thing I would like to mention is okay, the next steps or where I would like to go after this. Like, I would like to start to understand better this role of embodied experience, feelings, and perceptions on students, debaters, philosophy readers, and to understand if in the end the key to everything, learning processes and so on, is to fill them with this body that we have. That's what I have for now. I would like to hear, of course, your feedback on my methodology and the concepts that I'm using, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna, for this interesting presentation. Now we move to the audience. We open the floor for questions, comments. We will start with a question here, then a second question there.
Thank you, Anna, for this presentation, and thank you all for your presentations. I just have one question that came to mind after your presentation. So you talked about expert intuition and how it comes purely from being an expert. So it basically just means that you jump into a conclusion because you have that expert intuition. So it comes right away, right? I don't see, if you could explain, I don't see the link of how ChatGPT or using AI generally, like the extensive use of AI, could eliminate this expert intuition, because it comes because you're an expert, right? So let's say you are an expert who's relying on AI. That expert intuition is still there. So how does it eliminate it, you know? So, or do you mean that it won't, this expert intuition, if you're using it as a student, won't come later on? So could you just explain the link?
Okay, the link, thank you for your question. The link is basically if you rely too much on AI to understand the complexity of certain text, arguments, news, or content that you need for your professional formation or for being at some point an expert, it might hinder your ability to develop this expert intuition, since the expert intuition is gotten from perceiving the complexity of approaching to any given topic and the complexity and the nuances of the things that you need to understand before you become an expert. So if it's always a summary, or if it's always provided to you in a way that it feels like very easy to understand, it's very likely that you don't or you won't develop that expert intuition that at some point will let you have the answer right away.
Second question there, and also please do not forget we have Asma online, if someone has some questions for Asma.
Okay, thank you so much, Anna, for the presentation. We came very late, but the question I'd like to ask about the AI, and we'd like to, if you could put in mind the work of Frege, the symbolic logic, and when it comes to AI and thinking and argumentation in a philosophical way, it would be like the question that I'd like to ask would be like this. Do we really understand, and we really understood, fully comprehend how cognitive processes are really occurring in our brains, so we can coding that, fully coding that cognitive process into an AI machine so it could take the thinking process and the supreme cognitive process of argumentation and philosophical argumentation. Do we really comprehend and understand how this process happen in our mind, in our brains, how that things wiring and such kind of things? So if we could not, if your answer with this will be, if we could not, how we can rely on AI in such kind of things, such kind of argumentation, philosophical argumentations? Because so far I know it's just a kind of retrieving. Now AI is just retrieving. It feed it and then it retrieve what has been fed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Since the question is not directed to someone who wants to start to answer it, anyone want to volunteer, or should I? Dr. Ali.
I have something, but not about the how to read the human thinking. But it's absolutely no, the answer. But for some tasks, actually, we already know that the AI can solve the basic problems like classification or maybe argumentation. Yeah, even if it is not, 100% solved, but there is a possibility to use multiple AIs, for example, to perform a single task, and then use them or hire them as an annotators to do the same task. For example, if you want to detect the claims from text, so you need to hire more than one AI and consider them as an annotators, and then try to get the majority vote, for example. If 3 out of 4 say that a certain text has a claim, so yeah, it can be a claim. So this is just a way to utilize the multiple AIs to perform a single task only.
So I can also comment on your question. So basically, there are 2 schools of philosophy about AI. There are people who lose their war against AI, to be honest, Chomsky and such as, because they are saying that unless you understand the cognitive process, you cannot mimic human intelligence, yeah? And there are the other groups who started to go with data and with a more data-driven approach, and it seems they achieved some success. And to be honest, we have products that are run by AI today, yeah? So is AI only retrieving the info? I disagree. Because if you want to go to the basic math behind it, you basically assuming there is some distribution, a statistical distribution, and there are unobserved data or samples. So I'm sorry if the language is too technical, but imagine you have a box and you can observe some of the balls with different colors inside the box, and you learn from them. Then you take another one that you never saw before, but you are starting to interpolate with the position where you put your data. So AI, at least with the data-driven, or let's say deep learning exactly, it shows that it can extract the implicit patterns, maybe the things that we have with the experts, that they have a lot of implicit knowledge within the data itself, and try to represent it somehow in the neural net. And from there, it starts to do some interpolation. Now, if the question is about of argumentation, is most of the arguments are extrapolation problem, I will agree with you. But to be honest, most of the arguments are basically an interpolation between different ideas, going back to different ethics or virtues and mapping in between them. So I don't believe that we have to understand the whole cognitive process, because even for robotics, when they start to try to understand how human body works out, it was really complicated problem when they started to do reinforcement learning, which is launching the robots in the wild, trying to fall down, simulating them failing again and again. It becomes less complex by learning through data. And to be honest, there is a fascinating about keeping human intelligence, but why not opening a new type of intelligence coming from the data instead of just our complicated brain. So this is my 2 cents. I don't know if there is another comment here or Asma online or anyone in the audience.
Hi. I was thinking I can add one thing about this. Am I loud enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I actually wanted to add a practical application. So when it comes to argumentation, I think large language models, other generative AI models can do better because they are good at pattern recognition and they can classify different types of arguments. And I think now OpenAI and other LLM companies, they're using something called chain of thought process. So they're trying to understand what does the user want. So they're trying to guess the intention of the user. So this is something that is also happening, whereas it does not have the cognitive analysis because it's not in real time. And like we don't have sensors, so we really don't know what's happening. But at the same time, there is some research that has been done to know the nature of the arguer, the nature of the user. So where is this argument coming from? And we have classification for different type of schemes when it comes to arguments. So we developed a classifier for that. So there are many practical applications. This is what I wanted to add when it comes to argumentation.
Thank you, Asma.
Thank you.
Any other question? Okay, so I have some questions here to the panelists. So my question first to Dr. Ali. You talked about topic modeling and argument mining, but I didn't understand which one is coming first in your, let's say, working pipeline, or are they running for separate problems? Because for me, to be honest, topic modeling is easier than argument mining, but I felt you are doing argument mining than topic modeling, but maybe I was confused, sorry.
Actually, there are two in parallel. So yeah, you can implement the topic modeling in order to shorten the huge amount of text into a few number of topics. At the same way, you can perform the argumentation from the same text. And then each text has argumentation classes like claim or not, and has a topic against that. So you can track the topics and also the claims from the whole data set. This is what I did in my...
Do you think it's a good idea to do it in sequence, like sequentially? So starting with the topic modeling and feeding the info coming from topic modeling to extract arguments. Because I can imagine the arguments in sports, the different sports topics can have different claims than when it's about politics or...
I don't think so, but because each text has its own topic and also the argumentation classes. So suppose you have a topic or a few number of texts in X topics, and those topics already have their claim or their annotations in terms of argumentation. So you can track them both in parallel.
Okay. So for Sara also, you talked about you have a major claim and claim. So you have 3 classes, yeah? So what is the difference between major claim and claim? Because also in our data we have super claim and claim, which is, yeah, we can, maybe they are the same. Yeah, maybe they are the same. And the second question, so you have 3 classes, but the F1 score can go below 1. So yeah, it was 0.00 something on the zero-shot learning. So for me, this was extremely shocking. So I don't know if you have any interpretation for that, or yeah.
First of all, why was it shocking for you?
Because you have 3 classes, so even if you do, for example, a guess, just a guess by flipping a coin or something, you will get something higher than that. That's why I'm a bit shocking. Is it because maybe in the zero learning, the language model can give another classes? So, like by doing some, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so regarding the F1 score, I mean, giving another classes, no, of course, that's not possible. But there is one more thing that we need to consider is that this is a token classification. So this basically increased the difficulty and the complexity of the task. What was the other question? Sorry. Okay, so basically we're using data from persuasive essays written by students, and we're taking basically the data points as paragraphs, and in each paragraph there is some main claim being made, which is the major claim, like basically, which is the main idea that the student is trying to tell. And then the claims are smaller type of a claim that either supporting the major claim, or like maybe introducing some new topic. But the major claim is the one that is like basically the main topic of the paragraph, let's say.
So basically, major claim is similar to in the competitive debate, where the students have a goal and their goal is a super claim, we called it, where they are arguing if we achieve or implement this resolution, we will achieve the following. And then all of the arguments or claims are trying to prove that. So they are the same. And so to Anna Maria, you have talked at the end about the detachment. And to be honest, now maybe we are talking in a philosophical sense. I feel that the attachment for us in a modern capitalist world, sorry, yeah, but we can go too political. I feel like it's not only about AI. People are feeling the attaching even with the value of what they are doing, the working conditions in even in academia, to be honest. If you meet with academics, most of the time they are complaining that they are feeling detached, in their relationship to their students because of all of the administrative work, of the pushing to publishing papers. Even the work become more mechanistic. Yeah, it's more mechanical. You need to publish papers, 2 papers in Q1, then they don't hold into ideas that needs to be achieved in 4 or 5 years. That's dear to their heart. So the question about the detachment, I don't know if only the AI will be successful in having a complete detachment between knowledge and human, or is it all the working condition? Especially even for AI, most of the argument for AI is you will become more productive, meaning you will produce something for someone who asks you to do it and not something for yourself. And maybe for students also they feel that, they need to submit the essay, not because they want to learn it, but they are required to produce an essay. So since you are in education and also philosophy, I don't know, what is your take on such a thing? Yeah.
Well, I think yes, in both worlds, in the capitalist world and in this scenario that I present, the attachment is real. And I think it's problematic because from the phenomenological experience or from the personal view of the person that is doing some task or that is actually engaging with some content, emotion is fundamental for developing a real skills and passion and good attitude towards things. And I see this as a problem because, as I mentioned earlier, not being able to attach or have feelings for the things that you're doing might hinder in the future you're willing to engage with activities that makes you feel good, and that will lead us to basically an automatized world, and we humans will no longer at least want to engage in things that we can easily do with a GPT or Claude or Gemini, Bard, whatever. I can relate, for instance, from a debater experience. I think for debaters is especially relevant since one of the things that makes debate such a relevant activity for students is the fact that they engage in a passionate way with arguments, knowledge. They study because they have this will eh, to at least to win or to show some interest for something, and this might be the reason why debate could be. I mean, I cannot lead to that conclusion with my research. That will be something different. But I think this could be the case why debate is such a relevant educational experience, because it actually involves a lot of feelings and passion and attachment to things or towards a goal. And that might be the case of how we need to learn things, and not just making essays or regular testing on schools and so on.
Thank you, Anna. Any other questions in the room? Okay, so thank you so much for attending this session. Also, thank you to the presenters, Asma Online, Dr. Ali, Sara, and Anna Maria. Thank you so much, and I hope that you learned something from this session. Thanks.